Some have wondered if there are rules for courtship and dating. Others wonder if there's a difference between courtship and dating. We're going to explore the topic of courtship rules today. My name is Jeff Lee from the Shyness Breakthrough Community, and I help people overcome their shyness, improve their social skills, and connect with others despite their backgrounds. If you're watching this video, then you're probably the type who takes dating and courtship seriously, and you wouldn't date or court someone just as a way to have fun or to hook up. Otherwise, you wouldn't be watching this video. Of course, who you date and when you decide to date will depend on you, your values, and your culture. First of all, I would define dating and culture as one and the same, that they have an honorable purpose, and which is to help a couple determine if they want to get married to each other. So there are a couple rules for courtship and some principles that may help. One, it means dating only one person at a time. And that may be different from other people or many people, because many don't want serious relationships. They just want to fling without a commitment and be able to sleep around. But there are consequences for this behavior. One being at a higher risk for sexually transmitted diseases. Additionally, if they decide to sleep around now, that may affect their conscience and whoever would be willing to accept them later as a marriage mate in the future. But if you're watching this video on courting and dating, then you don't have to worry about that part. One thing you should realize is that many people do not end up marrying the first person they date. And this makes sense because the purpose of dating or courtship is to determine if this significant other is marriage material. At the same time, a person shouldn't date if he or she isn't ready for marriage. Now, that may be harder to understand, especially if it seems like many people around them are dating or in a relationship. So here's an illustration to help. Suppose you want to buy a new pair of shoes. So you go to the store, you find a pair that looks great, but it's too tight and uncomfortable. So what would you do? Would you buy the shoes anyway because it looks good? No, obviously, it's best to look for a different pair. And it wouldn't make sense to buy shoes just because it looked good, but it didn't fit, because that could hurt you in the short term and the long term. Likewise, when choosing a potential partner, probably there will be more than a few that will get your attention and catch your eye. But not anyone will do. You want someone you're comfortable with, someone that matches you, your goals, and your personality. In order to do that, you have to find someone's true nature, the secret person of the heart. And that inner qualities, it takes time to find out. But initially, all you see is the surface, the things that are obvious. But to truly discern one's inner nature and inner qualities, it takes more effort and time. By the way, for something that's quick, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe, as this really helps us out. Now back to this illustration of looking below the surface. Imagine that you want to buy a car. Now, would you only care about how shiny or how modern this car looks? Wouldn't it make sense to research it carefully, especially if it's a used car? You want to learn as much as you can about the car, about the condition of the engine, if there's any oil leaks, or are there any problems with the systems in the car, the heating, air conditioning, electronics? Has it been in any accidents or floods in the past? Now, finding a mate is a much bigger issue than choosing a car. Yet, many people don't look beyond the surface. Instead, they quickly point out to things they have in common. Like, oh, we like the same movies and the same type of music. Or we got the same hobbies. However, rather than focusing on how much you agree, it actually may be more revealing to know what happens when you disagree. For example, how does he or she handle conflict? Do they get angry or start yelling and demand things have to be their way? Or are they reasonable and willing to work things out? In some cultures, when two people are interested in each other, they inform their parents. And then the parents check on the reputation of each person. Of course, in Western cultures such as the US, Canada, UK, Australia, generally the individuals choose their own mates. Even so, it is a good idea to seek the honest recommendations of others, of those who know that potential mate well, including the parents, mature friends, so that you can find out their reputation, who their friends are, how they treat others, how they treat the neighbors, how they treat their own families, or the elderly, or how they treat kids, young ones. And find out about their attitude about money and spending. How are they with alcohol? Do they get moody or even violent? Along that line, so how are they when they are under stress or under pressure? Because it's good to know what you're getting yourself into and if you can handle it. I'll give you an example of what happened when some women did not find out the reputation of someone before getting into a relationship. This happened at a particular hospital. It was with a male doctor, and he was good looking. The female nurses noticed and paid attention. So he ended up dating at least between 6 and 8 nurses from that same hospital. And several of them he even proposed to, but later broke it off each time. Because his intention wasn't just to date or propose or get married. His intention was just to sleep with them. And I found this out because my friend who was interning at the hospital was approached by this guy. And unfortunately, some nurses warned her about this guy's reputation. This is related to the next topic about having some boundaries during courtship. Of course, this will highly depend on your values. Some people, they want to be physically intimate with others without the commitment. And that's their choice. And if you're watching this video until now, that's probably not you. As you have standards for courtship, and you know that its purpose is to get you closer to considering whether the other person is marriage material. So here are some boundaries to consider. Consider being in a public place with a significant other and not being alone, whether in the car or in a room. You may want to consider having a chaperone too. And also have good times on a group dates to see how the person responds to you along with others. Now, of course, it's only natural to want to show affection for someone you really care about. Just be careful that the affection can escalate quickly. It can go from holding hands to hugging to kissing to sex pretty quickly. So it's good to have boundaries that you two can agree on up front. You should also note that in certain parts of the world, it's actually considered offensive for a couple, especially those who are not married, to display public affection. But if you're watching this, you're probably not in those type of countries. But still, be careful. So here are some things that you should observe during a courtship that could be helpful. When there's a difference of opinion, because you two will not always see eye to eye, how do they react? Is he or she critical of others or demeaning? Like some have been treated actually very poorly in a relationship. This is before they're married. They're treated very poorly and they stay because they want to remain faithful to this guy. Even though he or she is critical of them and others. Do they get angry? Because certainly you don't want to be with an abusive person, whether emotionally or even physically. Are they secretive of the relationship? Have you met their friends and family? Finally, An honorable courtship also includes honest communication. And as you two progress towards marriage, certain matters will need to be discussed publicly and openly. Like, where will you live? Will both of you work? Do you want to have kids? It's also fair to reveal things, perhaps in the past, that could affect the marriage. Like if you two have debts, like credit card debts or student loans, or are there any health conditions that the other person should be aware of? Like, do you have to take medication, or do you need even do you even may even need surgery in the future? So we discussed some rules for courtships and principles that may help you determine if this is the right person for you. Comment below on your views of courtship and maybe some challenges you faced in the past and what helped. As a bonus, make sure to download the free ebook, Overcome Shyness Quick Start Guide, for more strategies to help you improve your social skills and conquer shyness. The link for the ebook will be in the description below. And subscribe to help you be notified for weekly videos to help you overcome shyness, improve your social skills, and connect with others.